Hello, brothers, and welcome. Today we are going to analyze the congregation's Bible study together with you. October 20th to 26, 2025. Let's begin by analyzing. Lesson 28. Balaam's donkey speaks. Let's start by answering the questions from the paragraphs. Why did Balaam go to Moab? Balaam went to Moab because he was tempted by the rewards and riches that King Balak promised him if he would curse the Israelites. Even though Jehovah had clearly told him not to curse his people, Balaam allowed greed to influence his heart. He pretended to obey Jehovah, but secretly wanted the honor and payment Balak offered. This shows how dangerous it is to let material desires or the hope of personal gain outweigh obedience to God. As Jesus warned in Luke 12:15, we must guard against every sort of greed, because true life and happiness do not come from riches, but from pleasing Jehovah. Let's move on to the next question. What happened on his way there? On his way to Moab, Jehovah sent an angel to block Balaam's path because Balaam was going with the wrong motives. Balaam couldn't see the angel, but his donkey could. 3 times the donkey tried to avoid the angel, first by going off the road, then by pressing Balaam's foot against a wall, and finally by lying down in the middle of the road. Each time, Balaam became angry and hit the donkey. Then Jehovah performed a miracle and made the donkey speak, asking Balaam why he kept beating her. Only then did Jehovah open Balaam's eyes so he could see the angel standing in his way. The angel rebuked him for his disobedience and reminded him to say only what Jehovah commanded. This showed that Jehovah sees our intentions and can use any means necessary to stop someone from doing wrong. Let's move on to the next question. What does this teach us about Jehovah? This teaches us that Jehovah sees everything, not just what we do, but also what is in our heart and what motivates us. Balaam pretended to obey Jehovah, but in reality, he was driven by greed and selfish ambition. Jehovah saw through Balaam's false intentions and intervened to prevent him from doing harm to his people. This shows that no one can deceive Jehovah, and he always protects those who are faithful to him. It also teaches us that Jehovah is patient and merciful. He gave Balaam several chances to correct his attitude before facing judgment. But when Balaam ignored those warnings, he suffered the consequences. Jehovah's actions remind us that he is both loving and just, rewarding obedience and exposing hypocrisy. Next question. What practical lessons can we learn? One practical lesson we can learn is that greed and selfish desires can easily lead us away from obedience to Jehovah. Balaam knew what Jehovah wanted him to do, but he allowed the promise of wealth and honor to blind him to what was right. His story warns us that love for material things can make us ignore Jehovah's clear commands. As Luke 12:15 reminds us, we must guard against every sort of greed, because our life does not come from the things we possess. We also learn that Jehovah can see our motives even when others cannot, and he may use different ways, through his word, his organization, or even unexpected situations, to correct us before we make serious mistakes. If we stay humble and listen to his guidance, Jehovah will protect us and help us make choices that bring peace and blessings instead of regret. Now we move on to the analysis of Lesson 29. Jehovah chose Joshua. First question. Who led the Israelites after Moses died? After Moses died, Jehovah chose Joshua to lead the Israelites into the Promised Land. Joshua had been a loyal helper to Moses for many years and had already proven his faith and courage when he trusted that Jehovah would give them victory in Canaan. Jehovah told Joshua to be strong and courageous and promised to be with him just as he had been with Moses. This shows that true leadership among God's people comes from Jehovah's direction, not from personal ambition, and that Jehovah always provides capable servants to guide his people when it is time for a change. Next question. What happened at the Jordan River? At the Jordan River, Jehovah performed a powerful miracle to prove that he was guiding Joshua and fulfilling his promises to his people. When the priests carrying the Ark of the Covenant stepped into the overflowing river, the water stopped flowing, and the riverbed became completely dry, allowing all the Israelites to cross safely. This event showed that Jehovah was helping Joshua just as he had promised when he said, "I will help you just as I helped Moses." Joshua 1:5. It also reminded the people that Jehovah always keeps his word and never abandons those who trust in him. Just as Isaiah 58:11 explains, Jehovah will always lead you and satisfy you, even in a parched land. This miracle proved that Jehovah was not only leading his people physically, but also providing for them spiritually, guiding them step by step into the land he had promised to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Let's move on to the next question. What does this teach us about Jehovah? This account teaches us that Jehovah is faithful to his promises and continues to guide his people with love and care. Even though Moses had died, Jehovah's purpose did not change. He kept his promise to bring the Israelites into the land that he had sworn to give to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. When Jehovah told Joshua, "I will help you just as I helped Moses," Joshua 1:5, he proved that his support and guidance never fail. And just as Isaiah 58:11 explains, Jehovah will always lead you and satisfy you, even in a parched land. This shows that Jehovah doesn't just guide his people in physical ways, but also provides them with the spiritual strength they need. Jehovah always fulfills what he promises and never abandons those who trust in him. Next question. What practical lessons can we learn? One practical lesson we can learn is that courage and success come from trusting in Jehovah and following his word closely. Jehovah told Joshua, "Do not be afraid. Be brave. Go and do what I have commanded you to do." Joshua 1:9. This reminds us that we can face any challenge with confidence when we rely on Jehovah's strength instead of our own. Another lesson is the importance of reading and meditating on God's word every day, just as Jehovah commanded Joshua to do, Joshua 1:8. By doing so, we can make wise decisions and stay strong in faith. We also learn from Moses' humility. He accepted that his time of leadership was over and fully supported Jehovah's choice of Joshua. This teaches us to trust Jehovah's organization and the ones he appoints. And just as Isaiah 58:11 says, Jehovah will always lead you and satisfy you, even in a parched land. We can be sure that when we obey him with faith and courage, he will guide us, provide for us, and help us succeed in doing his will.